Yeah, man.
Okay, some people are a little bit quiet, but anyway, welcome everyone to this week's episode of Between Two Keepstars. I'm your host, Rycker, here with my beautiful host, Dex, who hopefully fixed his internet.
Hopefully.
Okay, and yeah, we've got two special guests with us. We've got Vrye from, I'm totally blanking, Snuffed Out, and Rhea from the Imperium, because here at New Eden Post, we want a balanced and fair, and I didn't know I was going with that. So, yeah, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'll let Dawn go first.
Okay, well, I'm Rhea. I am a member of the Imperium. I am the SIG leader for Theta Squad, Locust SIG, and all around try to be as helpful as possible person.
I am Vrye Thellere from Snuffed Out, F1 Monkey, and Trash Talker Extraordinaire.
A moment of shock there.
Total wise, or I know, like you'd think that we weren't getting invaded with how much they've lost. Aggressive attacks meant that you could also defend your home.
All right, is that not your turn? You're from Pappy as well, aren't you? What does that mean?
That's not. Oh, apparently they can't hear you, Rycker.
That would be why.
Did you unmute yourself?
Yep.
Okay.
That's such a common occurrence with things. But yeah. So I guess we'll first start out with the Brave stuff, because that seems to be the hot topic that everyone's talking about.
Dear Lord, PTSD on that one.
Yeah, that's so for those of you who don't know, basically some Brave blogs got leaked of internal leadership chats where essentially the head logistics guy was talking about how broke they really are in terms of not being able to afford SRP, not being able to afford to move to Quirius, and pretty much confirming all the stuff that the Mittani has been saying.
Oh, they were juicy. And they were very frank and very good look into possible communications. You know, once you get up to that level of leadership, you have those frank conversations and you find out things that you don't know, maybe about an area that you take care of, or you know, something that maybe you're not involved in. The juicy part wasn't just how they were, it wasn't necessarily how they were talking with each other, but the actual contents of the material.
So, can you guys hear me okay? Is my level, am I still pretty...
You are like as quiet as I've got you up to 200%, and I can still barely hear you.
My goodness. All right, I will continue to fix that. Sorry, keep going, guys.
I know, Don. My sound is prime, except when I run the show.
This is what happens when you buy a new microphone and you're like, oh, the settings are.
Oh yeah, you gotta play through level. So, what do you want to know about the leaks in general? Because I had a hell of a time last week with them, so I've had to look through them like 50 times. What do you want to know?
I guess your thoughts on it really, because for those of you who haven't read the leaks, there was the one thing that really shocked me was the whole like 12 bill to some random dude and to some FC in test to use his pings or to get essentially Imperium pings, which I keep harping on, but it's like, you guys, Legacy has a spy agency. Why aren't you using it? Why are you paying this FC? Like, huh?
Well, everyone's got their way of doing intel. And I can understand if you weren't a large enough group to have your own spy network, that maybe you would outsource it if you got some good recommendations. You still run the risk, obviously, of getting bad intel. But Brave is huge. They're the 5th largest alliance in the game, and they're paying for pings that they already get from their own spies.
Well, that
Hey,
What
real
else?
quick, Tess,
God.
can you hear me a little better?
yeah.
Is it too much?
Oh, that's nice and loud, mate. That's perfect.
Move you down.
Okay, but like, I apologize, Dawn. I know you had boosted me up. I gotta say though, like, as a completely neutral third party to this entire conflict, like, if you're using Brave as a measure of stability, it's kind of like,
I said
why?
large.
Okay.
Stable.
But like my whole thing is like Brave has always kind of been, not the most stable of alliances, and I know they're huge now, but like giving them shit because they're newbies and they've always just kind of done their own thing up until the legacy thing. But like, I don't know, like measuring yourself against Brave is kind of not fair, I think. I don't know. I read the logs and was like, oh, okay, like it's a super dysfunctional alliance. Like,
Aren't new. They've been around for 8+ years.
yeah, but like, has anything ever changed? Like, to be honest, like, remember like Brave and Catch, and then Brave and Cloud Ring, and then Brave and Fade. Like, come
I've
on.
only ever known Brave and Catch, so
No, yeah, so Brave has always kind of been like they're just a bunch of people running around having a good time and doing crazy dumb stuff. Like, I don't know. I read the logs and was like, eh. And maybe that's just me because I was just like, I mean, anybody that's like measuring. Also, hey, real quick, and this is like a thing. So wasn't the line like the company line from Imperium, like and maybe I'm forgetting, but like a couple months ago it was like, be nice to Brave, like, hey, don't shit talk them in local, like,
it was
we want to help them.
Well, I
And
believe it was
now,
don't at the moment it was, I believe, don't bring up that they are struggling on money, but that was prior to our repeated attempts at trying to get them to leave. They have, after repeated attempts of discussion of telling them, hey, if you leave and get out of the war, we won't hunt you down. This is not your choice. This wasn't your idea. This is Brave's. We understand that. Tess. But since Brave has refused over and over and over again, we've offered to give them Quirius more than once. But because they refuse to back down or back out, I'm sorry, we decided it was fair game at that point.
now let's like offering them Quirius. All right, so like Asher's
prior to-
version of the Fight of the War and stuff. I know.
prior to the war.
But,
This was all during
but, like,
Fight Club and everything.
Asher's version of the Quirius Fight Club was trash. Like, it was just this lump collect. It wasn't the Quirius Fight Club of like 2016, 2015. When you had Horde and Brave and a couple other guys just running. Like, it was just crazy. Like, these guys were just getting in crazy fights every day and having fun. Like, Asher's version of the QFC. I mean, I roamed through Quirius quite a bit back in that time, and it was like dead. Like, they would not undock. They wouldn't do anything. So it was like, why would they take that? if that's
Well,
the thing.
they would have owned the area and had, Quirius has like the best moons in the game, right?
Yeah, it's got Genesis has great moons too, so
But
but yeah.
it's a huge region. It's right next to Delve, so they would get to use the Delve
Yeah, but
moons.
don't
They would have got to use
goons
Quirius
get
moons.
all the R64s and R32s?
Only for Locust Fleet and only when we take them. The rest of it's left for whoever wants to take it. So the
So-
members that lived in Quirius got left over because we did not get every rock every time. We'd be on a moon for a certain amount of time and then leave because we had a, we could only keep supers and titans entertained for 2 or 3 hours. So there were moons we met, and also we'd have like 30 moons frack and we'd only get to 15 of them. So the rest of them are potentially 64s. They just weren't very big, or 32s, or really rare 16s like Zircon and stuff.
Now,
All of that was available, and they
Wait,
didn't
wait.
have to pay for the buildings, and they didn't have to core them. They didn't have to fuel them. All they had to do was just not shoot them, and they got
So-
to enjoy them.
You're offering them essentially one of the scraps off the table. Like, I don't know, like the
Well,
way you're
I don't know.
the way you're putting it is very diplomatic and good. Like, hey, you can have the leftovers, but like,
Well, I don't know how
I
the
give the
deal-
leftover to my dog.
Well, they would have been fully part of it too. If they came into Imperium, they would have been able to mine those 64s as well, with a full super cap umbrella protecting them at the same time, plus the moons in Delph, plus the moons in Fountain, plus the moons in Period Basis.
Well,
What do
I
they
mean,
have now? They've got catch.
We've
Half a
seen
catch.
we've seen how much mining is going on in Delve and Aquarius and Fountain right now. So it seems to me
But I've
that
seen
no great loss here.
Well, how much mining are they now? 0. I've seen all of their structures that are going abandoned because they won't fuel them because there's no point in trying to mine them.
Well, I mean, like when you're actively involved in a war, though. I mean,
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like being actively involved in a war means that you can't do some of those things you like to do. Shocker.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I completely see
But
why. Like,
you're kind of
leaving
ignoring the
mining
fact
structures
that
behind.
there were at least 4 years of what I call the Platinum era, where we got to mine and rat with almost impunity.
Yeah, but like, so Brave, like, I don't, for whatever reason they joined Legacy, which I don't know, whatever. But like Brave for years, and I will say historically, had always been like semi-independent, and I think
So
the
it's
idea of
initiative.
joining the idea of joining, like, to be honest, the biggest blob in the game up until
You're right. Solo
earlier
is a
this
solo
year.
group. Yes, we are the largest. You
So
are
like
correct.
up until July of last year, Imperium was the largest blue blob in the game. Like, I don't know. Like, if I was in Brave, I don't know. Like, the idea of like bluing up that much of the game
I get
for
it.
new pilots. Like, I mean, for a while, like for almost like a couple years, goons were having to travel around the galaxy to get any fights because you just couldn't. There wasn't PvP other than people getting dropped in Delve.
No, I went to Aquarius all the time. Or sorry, Catch all the time for fights, and we'd go to Aquarius as well. There wasn't
Yeah, but
as
you
much
guys
there,
had
but-
all those. You guys had all those like, oh, T1 Feroxes fleet up on this FC, and they would like convo each other, and it'd be some junior FC, and they would whelp a T1 Ferox fleet, and good fights, and everybody'd go home. Like, I don't know. Like, you gotta.
It's not for everybody for sure, but
I mean, look, I come from the snuffed out way of thinking of like, screw it. Like, we're just gonna like dunk, and we're gonna have a fight. Maybe we're gonna throw away 100 bill today because whatever. Like that, the fights that we got in Lantorn over our faction Fortizar were amazing, right? Like, I think we whelped a couple 100 bill. I know Siege Green and Wrecking Crew whelped like almost a trill to kill that thing. So it's, I mean,
just a trail.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I read the
This
Brave stuff.
war is
I read
like-
the Brave stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. I read, and then I reread it, and I'm like, like, I get it. It's like a whole morale propaganda thing for Imperium, and the average brave pilot who's been in the game like 3 months is like, what's happening? Like, it's Brave. Like, that's what they do. They just sort of do crazy dumb stuff and maybe fail skate.
Anytime that one of our enemies is struggling, why wouldn't we put it out there for the world
I
to
mean,
see?
hey, I'm not suggesting anything other than regular propaganda. I just I it's
See, I
it's
don't.
interesting. It's interesting to me that when alliances like Red Alliance fail Scade, who are part of, or at least associated with the Imperium, right? When Red Alliance fails Scades for what looks very much like RMT, uh, it's very like it's not really covered. Like it's oh well, I don't
Y'all
like.
could have talked about it, but no. Redline wanted to spend 45 minutes grilling into me about
don't watch-
shaming Brave for not having money instead of talking about how Red Alliance had some.
I don't
whatever
watch
not
that.
happening.
I don't watch
I don't
that
know.
terrible show. So
I don't know,
I don't know.
why they were, and then also talk about, oh, you guys lost a really expensive Sotio. Well, guess what? You lost a bigger one. So
You know who else is going to lose a very expensive Sotio shortly?
I'm actually excited about
The
that.
TTT.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get into that because for all of our viewers at home,
I have to leave here in a few minutes, so I wanted to talk about it before I have to bounce.
Well then we'll fuck it, we'll talk about it next. So for all of you who don't watch, all right, or wait, backtrack. For all of you guys who aren't like in the know or know anything about snuff like I do, apparently snuff doesn't just burn down orphanages, but they also burn down hospitals. Because I mean, let's be real, or no, not hospitals, refugee camps. Because let's be real, the TTT in Ignoitin, it isn't just like a I don't know where I'm going with this. It's a refugee camp. That's what it is. So snuff burns down refugee camps and orphanages. Vrye, what do you have to say about that?
I didn't expect it to be put that way, but I can.
Neither did I.
I think what the point you're trying to make is that when people AFK or leave the game, right? You want to have a place to put your Super Titan or whatever you've got.
Yes.
That's
what I totally meant.
And then when you come back, right? So in that sense, you are a refugee. However, we had decided to renegotiate the deal that we had from the TTT Corporation. And we'll say reevaluate our stance towards a Keepstar, a free-ported Keepstar in our direct backyard. For those of you unaware, Ignoitin is for supers 2 gates and a jump, and for caps it's 1 gate and a jump from Rakapos. So it's very close. It's within our range of where we do mining operations and things like that. So
is it not a major staging point for a lot of dreads to get built as well?
It is. A lot of dreads are built there in Ignoitin. Dreads aren't that big of a deal to build. I mean, you can do it at Asbel and stuff like that, but Ignoitin had been kind of heavily used. I know that Vrye had said it was a net loss, which isn't surprising based on fuel, but that was just going to take time for people to shift over to it. We saw with the Tatara, it was making quite a bit of money for them. So, we decided to renegotiate that and maybe get some PvP out of it, which is actually the point of the whole thing, was to see if the TTT members who, for whatever reason, like included Imperium, who had like said, oh, this is all Test's fault. Like, you guys are just part of the deal as much as anybody else. So it was just like, hell, can we get them to blue each other for an afternoon or an evening to come fight us? And the answer, as we found out, is no.
I don't know how all the politics work with the TTT negotiations, but from my understanding is Vrye's in charge of all of that.
He's the chairman, and each part or each major block has a chair on it, right?
No, come on. Like, what? Look at what you showed up with all the Titans and stuff like that. Who's going to actually spend time organising a counter to what you showed up to?
Exactly. I think that Snuff should just keep going around and killing everybody else's shit.
Thank you.
Until these fuckers go home. I hear that Kavala Expanse has a lot of Keepstars.
That sounds like null security space.
I'm just it's
seems
one
like
jump.
Not my problem.
It's one jump, okay? Just one.
We're taking a closer look at Kamal and a couple other places that have these Keepstars. It's super interesting, right? Stuff that's kind of flown under the radar for a number of years. Kamal, of course, being owned by Wrecking Crew, who are now turning into Turbo Crabs in Pravi. So good luck.
Who are also, apparently this is new, are bending the knee to Test, even though Test just fucked them in the ass for the past 2 years, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know.
I don't know. I know Wrecking Crew has traditionally been blue to PanFam, and PanFam has shown up to some of their timers, especially when we attacked Kamal maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago or so. We attacked Kamal, and PanFam moved like a ton of dreads down from the north, and yeah. And then with the legacy thing, I don't actually know, and I'm just totally guessing, but I know that Wrecking Crew and Villy had some deal for a while about when Test moved supers, Wrecking Crew weren't going to kill them in Amar space and Minmatar space, but I don't know. In that case, I like for me, Wrecking Crew is, I know Wrecking Crew is still blue to PanFam. I actually know that for a fact, and probably the chain got yanked, right? You got to think that, like, in a sense, like, the chain got yanked and priorities got put into place. I had seen Wrecking Crew fighting within it a little bit, like Dread Bomb and a couple others, and then that stopped all of a sudden. So I figure, you do the math and you're like, huh, interesting.
So I will say there are a lot of unguarded Keepstars in low sec between Iridia and Esoteria.
Yes. Well,
and they're not even fit. Half of them don't even have Doomsdays.
The great Pappy chain from one end of the galaxy to the other.
Nudge, nudge.
I can't speak to any future plans or operations on any of that stuff.
It'd be a real shame if the one in Marmeja died.
Oh man, yeah, like
because that's like their direct route right out.
That's right. It is.
They'd have to go through. Well, the Marmeja's an Iridia.
Yeah, but it's the direct out of Aquarius for them, I think, right? Like once they leave Aquarius. Yeah.
There are some Aquarius ones. It's really literally one jump in, and they have no super Titans there.
No. Hard pass. Hard pass on that little sex stuff.
So I'm gonna just throw it out there.
Are you gonna SRP it? Are you gonna SRP? Dawn, if you SRP,
I will SRP you. I will promise you SRP the same way that Snuff keeps its deals.
Wow.
All right.
So, Dawn,
right? If you show up, sorry, go ahead.
Touche.
I have a plan for you, Dawn. So you have quite a lot of capitals in M2. Why don't you guys go and do it?
Because we're busy.
Wait, you busy? I see you all just sitting on top of the Keepstar. You just don't do anything.
I mean, at this point, don't goons just have like 1 DQ that pocket and M2? Isn't that like the last bastion of?
Actually, they have 2 constellations.
We don't even own M2. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They took it like first thing.
They were the iHub. So like, are you guys just gonna like just squat until the thing's over? Like, all right.
I'm not in charge of any of that.
And I didn't expect an answer. I just was like, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, man, like at this point, you guys are just kind of squatting until something happens, right? I don't know.
And yet, it absolutely changes nothing about our ability to make money or do whatever we want to do. So,
well, that was the thing too. So you're saying that, and like when you guys came earlier last year, beginning of last year, to like fight Snuff, you're like, we're gonna kill their ways of making money. And all these people were trash talking in local who have no idea how, low sec money is made. And you're finding out that there are, in fact, alternative routes to making very good ISK outside of, the normal stuff. Like, so it was just funny to me to see all these null bears come in and trash talk. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. But okay.
It was completely like content, like let's go keep the boys sharp, doing something.
We've actually been joking that we'll pay goons to come back and
as long as PanFam doesn't fight with you, then we can let's do it.
Now what was interesting is we didn't use any supers or titans in that campaign, and we didn't call PanFam until you guys moved all your stuff into F7C. So there was you're like, oh, we'll call PanFam. Like, we didn't really.
No, I didn't say that you called PanFam. I just said
okay, because it was.
But if you want to say you called it, that's something that I didn't know. So.
We did not. But like it's a situation where they were in pure blind, I think, at the time, and they're when Goons moved Supers and Titans up that close, it was like, oh, there's interest now in countering that.
They
But at
didn't
any
even
rate,
have that many either.
that being said, the Goon deployment was actually a lot of fun. Like it was, like you said, we would name structures after some of our favorite kill mails, some of our favorite FCs, you included.
Yeah, but you guys never killed me. Because I wasn't dumb enough to stay around.
Yeah, I was gonna say you tethered up most of the time, and then we'd see pings of like more dudes. I was like, oh, all right. Went from like 30 people chill bashing in hurricanes to 200 guys. It's like whatever. So that was actually
because you guys wouldn't ever bring like the same size that like we could actually have a brawl in. You'd always bring like 60, and I'd have like 60, but you'd have like materials or something, and I've got like harbingers.
Yeah. Imagine thinking we would form 60 people at any point. Like
that number's a little
that number's a little inflated. We have for a long time. I think we'd put like 40 people maybe in fleet.
That
45.
is not even close to true.
I
remember I was there.
I was there too.
I know people and like 20 alts.
We retired that comp true. Just because it's slow.
What was it, Moshmaster?
No, we still have that. The cattle cows. I loved that because
the harbingers.
Yeah, I loved it. But
harbies are fantastic. Yeah, they're slow, but like it's low sec, so like there's no bombs. You can't get bubbled. Like that's actually a really good comp for that. Like Abaddons are a lot of. I know Thomas Lear used Abaddons a number of years ago when he came up for a USTZ deployment against Euro Time Zone Alliance, which
I just think lasers are popular with Goonies.
Dude, Abaddons are. Dude, you guys need to bring back Abaddons. I know you can't really do it in nullsec because bombs and you just get insta-deleted, but Abaddons are awesome.
I'll look at that.
APOC. I know you guys use APOCs with your all's Baltec fleet, right? But like APOC navies, if you can source them with implants, can get some pretty disgusting EHP, and they're great.
Now, real quick, Rycker, did you have anything else for Vrye before you?
Yeah, sorry.
I know we can sit here and just chit chat all day about like fun stuff, but
if I had something, I think I've forgotten it. I'm gonna be real. Okay. I was too focused on just like listening what Vrye has to say.
No, I mean, like I just want to say good luck in the dumb nullsec war, and to both sides because I don't care.
Maybe we'll come hang out with you guys here soon.
Maybe you know what? If you want to learn how to do level 5s, hit me up.
You should.
I'll boost you with standings.
You should come along, man. You should come along and help us burn some more good stuff.
I think a snuffed out guy in local would get shot by everyone.
He would.
I don't think I'd last that long on field.
I doubt that.
So,
well, I mean
that or I'd AWACS whatever fleet I was.
I mean, right? You could just come back to Concordia, which is now in Horde. Well, actually, no. Concordia's dead.
You think he doesn't have an alt in Horde? That's where you're really cute, because Snuffed Out has alts and everything.
What? No.
And everything.
No, you're not supposed to talk about that. What?
Accusations.
I don't know. Trust each other. You guys fuck everybody else over so much.
That's true. Hey, do you guys remember when we used the smart bombing Ravens to kill the Horde fleet? With the Keepstar in like 2017 or whatever, we called it baked beans. So we had infiltrated Raven alts into Horde, fitted all with smart bombs, and so when Horde warped their Raven fleet to the Keepstar in a blob, we just started smart bombing and destroyed the entire thing. It was fantastic. There's a video out there of it someplace. I think it was called Beans Equals Baked or something. But it was a lot of fun.
You guys have Verticio.
We do have Verticio. Well, he's AFK right now, but yeah.
He's got a way about himself. But some of the more ingenious, insidious things was during 9-TAC-4, the Horde fleet was in something smaller, like Corms or something, one of the fleets, and they were trying to warp off grid to like go get something, and or go somewhere, right? So Horde's Corn fleet was going to warp, and we needed them to slow down. So Verticio got in fleet with them in a rattlesnake, and they didn't know it. So when they hit warp, he takes the warp and then cancels it. So they warp slower, which gave time for our bosons to spoil, and we murdered them all.
Can I share my Vertizo story from that too? So when you guys were fighting in Pureblind, Vertizo had gotten an alt in it, and so, and you guys were fighting over some Fortizar or something there in Pureblind, and Vertizo, I was in the system like just watching and kind of just checking it out. And Vertizo PM'd me, said, "Are you in system?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want to warp the boat's bomber fleet into the PDS?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Hold on." So he drags me into the fleet, puts me in fleet command, or squad command or whatever, and I warped boat's bomber fleet directly into the Fortizar. The best was seeing people in chat go, "Oh no, I've already warped. I can't stop." That was my fun Vertizo moment of him pulling some pranks. At any rate, hope everyone has a great Sunday. Thank you guys for having me on. Rycker, if you need me to trash talk about stuff or just BS for a while, hit me up anytime, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much for the invite.
Take care, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Take care. Also, I just want to say, this is why nobody likes Snuff.
Exactly.
I
mean, they have their own fun,
I especially don't like Snuff. Well, okay. When I say I don't like Snuff, that's all a joke. But like, there was a dude in my corp. I gave him a super at like half price, but the condition was he stayed in the corp. Like a week later, he left and went to Snuff. I was like, God damn it! I could have made so much money off that super, but no, I sold it for $5 bill. I hate myself. Anyway. So speaking of hating ourselves, structures. Yeah, so earlier in the episode, I talked about how a lot of structures died. Well, I've got those numbers, and
I bet you have a big spreadsheet and everything, Rycker.
Oh, I have the biggest of spreadsheets. So, since February 13th, the day before National Singles Awareness Day, 4 Imperium Sotios have died. However, 1 never populated the kill board. One of those Sotios was the 240 billion ISK Sotio.
Only 4?
Yeah, no, only 4.
After all the hemming and hawing, it would have been like 85.
Well, in contrast, only 2 Pappy Sotios have actually died when looking at it.
But they're on the offense. How have they lost any in general?
Well, I mean, it's because they're trying to defend the entire southern area of New Eden while also trying to attack.
From, like, who? I'm not trying to discount, Dreadbomb and Simple Farmers and whoever else, dock workers and all them. But in reality here, they're not like these gigantic groups that are insane. They've just gimped themselves because they're so gung-ho about going into Delve that they are just letting it all die. And the few times they try to fight, they either come out even or they get ruffle stomped. Like, unless they commit to actually protecting their stuff. So, anyways, continue with your number. I just find it hilarious that they've lost anything.
Well, I was about to say save your laughter because 11 Imperium Fortizars have died compared to Pappy's 7. 7 Imperium Asbels have died compared to Pappy's 1 Asbel. 4 Imperium Tataras have died compared to Pappy's 1 Asbel. And this is where I just decided to say fuck it and actually start counting more kill mails. 12 Imperium Asterhursts died as compared to Pappy's 4. 2 Imperium Fortizars, or Action Prometheus Fortizars, have died compared to Pappy also losing 2. One of those, I believe those didn't actually belong to Test, but smaller alliances that are members of Legacy. So to them, it's a much bigger loss. 1 Imperium Dracos Fortizar, 1 Imperium Horizon Fortizar, and 13 Imperium Rytterus died compared to Pappy's 5.
And this is all from the 13th, you said?
This is since the 13th.
Okay. Because I was going to say, those numbers don't make sense. But now they do, because I was like, that's so few Fortizar.
Yeah. Like in total, it's like four faction Fortizars compared to Pappy's 2 faction Fortizars.
I mean, in reality, we're going to see some Keepstars probably falling soon.
Yeah. One of these days.
In the next 2 weeks, I would see at least one.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because like on my side, I hear a lot of like I haven't really heard as much anymore as people saying like, oh, this war is going to be over soon. I think a lot of people are really starting to they're accepting that, hey, this war is going to be a while. So, which I'm okay with. I've already figured out how to make money outside of nullsec because I mean nullsec kind of sucks in general now, especially with the whole like famine patches.
Yeah, it's kind of like and that's kind of part of why kind of this war is going the way. It's kind of funny why the war is even happening, because we can't guarantee Delve is gonna still be the creme de la creme, or if it's gonna be somewhere else. Because, and it just makes me laugh so hard that Villy and them seem to think that Delve is going to be so easy to make everything perfectly safe for your ratters, more than Esoteria. So,
I mean,
because I don't care what I don't fucking care what they say, okay? Because at least with the stain russes, they had to come in to a non-NPC area to hit the bulk of Esoteria. In Delve, they didn't. Nobody has to go anywhere. You just undock and there you go. You're murdering somebody.
Oh yeah, and that's because Delve has that NPC space, which anybody can dock in.
Mm-hmm.
And
even
congratulations, you can hit most of
one,
them.
they'll just move to the other 7.
Exactly. Another thing too, and this I actually found was kind of interesting. Brave finally like actually committing fully to the war. Because one of the things too, and this is something I know that PanFam did, was that when PanFam basically said, hey, we're going down to fight this war, they completely discounted all their holdings in the north. They said, like you had NC Dot in particular say, we can lose all of our space up north. It does not matter. We are doing this and we are finishing this. Meanwhile, you've got a lot of the legacy alliances saying like, oh no, we're still going to try to defend our stuff in the south. But in realistic, like when you think about it realistically, you can't defend the entire half of the map when you're in war. Like it's not possible. The amount that you'd have to split your forces. The entire south, like from
no, I mean holdings. You know,
yeah.
we went up north to go shoot GOTG and NC, and I believe for the GOTG one we said nobody stays at home. You know, I mean, people will still have stuff there, but don't expect home defense or save ops or anything. Like, obviously, if they try to shoot our buildings, we'll protect them. But if you're dying, you know, die in silence was kind of the modus for the GOTG deployment. But then the next one, we were like, our super fleet's so big. Let's just do one here, one there, and see how that goes. And so we were able to leave half our super fleet at home and take the other half up there and still glass the entire thing.
Right.
So it's possible.
It's possible, but like in a war like this where it's like the biggest entities in the game, where it's literally the Imperium's massive super fleet versus Pappy's massive super fleet, like you really can't leave supers at home. Like it needs to be all hands on deck, or else you're almost, you can't cut your forces in half with this war, because if any side does that, that puts them at an extreme disadvantage. Like if Test left half their supers in Esoteria to defend the south, yeah, they would keep the south, but that would put them at a disadvantage in Delve. Which I guess for the Imperium would be great, but for Pappy would be not so great.
It depends on the numbers, because the Titan numbers were very even for both first M2 and the second M2. From what at least everybody knows, because there is still some numbers that are always going to be, did that person join fleet but never undocked, so we never saw them on grid, or they never joined a fleet but they were there and ready to go and would have joined in at some point. But from what we can tell, the Titan numbers at least seemed pretty even, and actually almost all the numbers was like 5,000 or just like 6,000 to 7,000. was the total logged in for that second M2 fight.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I
the
find
numbers are crazy.
It is crazy to think that it takes that many people. But I just want to have another Titan fight. Like, let's clash this out. Let's do it. But I know that none of them want to do that. And as I commented yesterday, I've been on so many shows this week. I'm not going on any shows other than my own next week, just for a break.
Just to keep your sanity.
Yeah. So I commented on this yesterday. It feels like somebody else is pushing the pace right now. Because I don't feel like this is a Villy-led plan. Because they are going faster than they have in the past few months. In the past few weeks, they're going faster than they did in the past few months.
There is not much left for us to burn.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like, I don't know how many structures there are, but I know there's less than 1,000. And there's only like 2 other constellations that have to get glassed. And then, of course, the Keepstars, which are gonna need to come down.
I don't like what happens when everyone finally hits 1DQ. I'm the never say never person. There is always a way to make things like 1DQ could absolutely fall. There's a way to make it happen, especially if a mistake happens, someone doesn't wake up,
A tree
something
falls.
happens with the server, a tree falls. Yeah, there's always something that could happen that could push 1DQ on over. I think it's going to take a lot, it would take so much, but it still could go. But is that the end of it? Like, what happens then? Because even if you, just from me personally, even if you threw all my Titans and my Supers into asset safety and it sat there, okay, just get it out later, whatever.
Well, and that's the thing too. With the end of this war, like after this war is over and 1DQ's just is hopefully destroyed, I'm just gonna go home and go and rat and crab and try to figure out nullsec again. Like, I have no plans, and I know like PanFam as an entity has said, hey, we're not going to stay here and keep camping in goons. I mean, some alliances might, but I know that at least for my alliance, it's been publicly stated that, hey, our target is 1DQ. Once 1DQ falls, that's our objective completed. What we do afterwards, I don't really know. But I've been talking to certain people, and apparently there are plans for after the war. It's just I don't know what they are.
It'd be really nice if it was just, hey, we're staying right here, we're burning tests down now. Because that'd be really funny.
I mean, it could be that too. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I don't know why, we were so happy-go-lucky, just sitting in our corner. We were like, okay, we're going to go do some content, go do some fighting. And everyone's like, oh, we're just going to gang up on the Goonie. Okay. Ignores that the other half of the game owns most of everything else.
Well, what's interesting too, so I've recently been really looking at Serenity as a server, and we saw what happens when one entity pretty much takes control of the entire server, and it doesn't seem very fun. And I am like, okay, let's do everything in our power to like prevent that, which is funny because that was kind of the narrative going into the war was, hey, we need to stop goons because goons will like stop all the content because they have the biggest super fleet in the world. But then when you look at
I haven't done anything to the super fleet. That's the funny part. I don't know. Your goal is to knock us down a peg, right? Blowing up our buildings doesn't do that. Blowing up our infrastructure doesn't do that. You know what's going to actually make it so that way you guys don't have to worry about the goon super fleet showing up on your front door is fighting the fucking super fleet. Our Titans and our Supers are sitting there waiting, ready to go. We had no hesitation on just jumping into a jam system with our Titans to fight your Titans 30 kilometers away from us. I jumped my Titan in on the second one during your breakout at like 10 kilometers from 435 dreads. We want to fight, but you guys refuse to. And until you take out the super fleet, you will never get rid of us, and we will just wait, bide our time, come back out, and rampage across the entire New Eden if we have to.
Right.
So if you want to make a dent in our ability to project power, you have to fight the super fleet.
Right, and I think that's like, I'm pretty sure that's the plan, but from what I've gathered, yes, Pappy isn't doing that. But I think their goal is, okay, first we're going to burn down all this stuff so that there's no way they can escape, and then we'll go after their super fleet. Or, I don't know, and I'm not in high command, but yeah, that is true. If Pappy's goal is to take out and knock down goons a few pegs, yeah, we're going to have to attack the super fleet one of these days.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to do it in a bad position if we can help it. But, we still took a fight under a jammer. Now, we were on our Keepstar on an armor timer, so we had some advantages. We also had some disadvantages. We could not control reinforcements, and there's, is not a planned op. We weren't expecting to shoot this. You guys were expecting to shoot the Keepstar. We weren't expecting necessarily. I didn't even know that Keepstar's armor timer was that night until someone was like, hey, things are starting to spice up. It was funny.
Yeah, no, I remember getting the ping. It was just, hey, jump in. We're killing Goon Titans. All right, let's do it.
It had to be in US time zone. I missed out on that. I was pretty gutted, but
yeah,
I just always kind of found it funny that the kind of major Goon kind of victory when it came to capital ships, the server had to fail in order for us to win. That was the difficult one for me to accept.
Which one? Because I distinctly remember you guys jumping as far away from our supers and titans as possible to not have a titan or super fight for the second M2. I think you guys got punished for it. I distinctly remember being on the bottom and all those titans jumping in at 500 kilometers away. I wanted to throw down. But all they want to do was shoot the Keepstar with no risk to themselves and then try to trap us. So if you really wanted a fight, maybe your leadership shouldn't jump you in at 500 kilometers of the Keepstar. Or of the actual super fleet.
Well, when you think about it, the idea of shooting and killing the Keepstar first in order to trap the super fleet to sort of force the fight, I mean, isn't really a bad idea.
I didn't say it wasn't sound. I didn't say it was a bad idea, just saying. It's a pussy idea.
I mean, pussy, smart, it's you can interchange the words. Definitely was not courageous though.
I distinctly remember for X-47 that instead of trying to jump in to kill the Keepstar on the hull timer and then try to deal with the Titans across from us, we jumped in at our normal spot and fought and still came out on top with 20 Titans to 1. So tell me how that worked out. We didn't take the risk adverse option of trying to avoid where they were jumping in. We jumped in at our spot and we fucking DD volleyed and shot the building at the same time. So if we could do it, you guys can do it too. Not trying to make you two feel bad. You two are fine. I'm just talking out.
I mean, I don't feel bad at all. I don't have a Titan trapped in M2. I mean, I had a Dread trapped in M2, but I accidentally logged on the second day, so I was like, well, I guess I'm no longer trapped. I had to do an art project, but I'm no longer trapped.
It's just certain aspects that I kind of find hard to understand. For example, the Satoyos that we blew up, you actually took the time to spend, I don't know, chat, can you confirm this? I think it's 10 billion for a core for a Satoyo. I think we blew up 2 of them. So we took both the cores, but you didn't take the time to defend either one of them. So, this is purely an example, but why waste the 20 billion on the cores and then just not bother defending them? And they had a lot of stuff in them. It wasn't an evac one or anything like that. Do you? Well, I don't understand that. I don't understand the thought process behind that.
Well, right, the most I can try to fathom, because obviously I don't make those decisions. There are things where if I was in charge, I would have done things differently, but I'm not, and it probably would have been worse than how things are now. But like, yes, I would have loved to have been able to defend those, but they decided not to. All those Sotoyos were personal buildings. Every Sotoyo, I believe, except for like 2 of them, are owned by private entities. So, we had months ago told people, if you want to make sure that you don't have to work, and it's always on our forums, if you want to make sure about not having things taken down or uprooted without, a hoot and a holler, you can build in 1DQ or whichever Sotio they recommended. But it just depends on what was going on that night. There might have been something better. There may not have been something better. Why did Test leave 2 Titans and build in a Sotio that they cored and then say that was dead for months? Like, choose. We can throw it right back at Pappy.
What's the story behind that anyway? I caught a couple of settings of the meta show about, and I saw Mittens raving on about something to do, and it was just Villy's name on the screen. What was that all about anyway?
I don't know. I watched yesterday, but basically, oh, that's right. So basically, there was a Sotio in Esoteria that they had defended multiple times. They had cored it, and there were at least 2 Titans in build actively in that structure. Bastion was able to get it into hull timer 5 different times, and then they finally blew it up to find out it was 400 billion. Our Sotio was only like 250 something. So, if they're the attacker, that what Brisk was talking about was how, Villy just, instead of doing anything, they just write off their losses. They don't want to answer questions either or anything like that. And so that was just a quote from Villy saying that that particular Sotio was dead months ago.
All right. Okay. That's. I didn't. I didn't understand. I didn't know the storyline behind that. So thank you. But yeah, it was like, so. This is another part that I don't understand. At the moment, I'm just like a simple line member now. But like, I don't understand certain aspects of the strategy. For example, like, you withdrew to the whole Helm's Deep, and yet you didn't defend that either.
We stopped that. We stopped that right after the fight of M2. They said, we're not doing E3 anymore. Everybody over to M2. We're gonna sit there and sit on this pigeon at M2. But you guys took 4 weeks to notice, I guess. I don't know.
You're just going to live in M2 now? Is that like, this is genuine questions? I'm not trying to take piss or anything like that. It's genuine. That's what I'm trying to understand here. So it's just like M2, and then that's it. What happens whenever we take that, or if, or whatever happens in M2? What happens after that, or what do you believe that will happen?
Nothing any different than already. Like, subcap ratting could still as long as you have a place to dock, you can still subcap rat if you want to, though it helps their ADMs. So not necessarily recommended. But mining, there's no good real mining anyways. So oh darn. It's basically just kind of a place to put a line and provide some people to kind of, because the war bonds were coming up, provide a place for people if they wanted to make some extra cash to be able to buy a war bond they could, or a place to build that wasn't going to be taken over for a little while. But we're fighting really big odds here, and I don't know no other group of the game that I know of has fought this long and this hard against this many people. Everyone kind of expected us to just fold over after 2 months, and we're still here, and we're still fighting, and we're, even if we get pushed out of Delve, we'll just go either to NPC Delve or somewhere else, and we'll come back and take back our home as soon as PanFam fucks off. Maybe we'll just go take PanFam's house. I hear it's nice.
I mean, nobody's going to defend it.
Good.
Okay, Frat probably will. Frat will probably come in and delete stuff, which was it was kind of interesting because so during the war when PanFam was fully deployed, Darkseid actually came in and started blowing up all of our stuff in Geminate, and I was all for, okay, after this war we're gonna go and delete Darkseid, but then Fraternity came in and was just like, oh no, we'll do that for you, and pretty much just ravaged all their space and took it back. I think Darkseid still has some holdings.
Oh, did
But,
you see the update today? I think from the Freeman. They're
did not.
after 7 weeks of fighting, they are calling it over
They're-
in Tribute or Vale or wherever it is.
So they're giving up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
Rip Freeman.
Yeah. So now, how much space is that? Does Frat own in the north now?
I have no idea. A lot.
Is that like all of it? And yet, goons are the problem. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm
I
just here
see
for
how it is.
content. Like personally,
See, that's what I believe. I believe that most Hordlings, that is correct. Hordlings and CDOT, PL, the actual like real line members, not the people who think they're just line members, but like the real ones. I'm sure they're absolutely just hanging out with their buddies, pewing away, and couldn't give two shits about, the logistical day-to-day choices of their groups. Because it's the same in goons. Like there's like certain
yeah.
goons who are just here for fun.
well, yeah, I mean, like
Or camaraderie.
because like it seems like the smallest group of people often shout the loudest, and it's no different in this war. Like just looking at T5Z or M.M2 local, like it's only like a few people that are actually like going out and trying to shitpost in local. Most people again just do not care. They're just like, I'm in it for the kills.
Yeah, and I'm sure most people are.
Got that little dude that lives in local. What is his name? Moomin or something?
I love Moomin.
Yeah, he just sits in local in T5Z and he just like I don't know, he has this delusional idea of what goons are doing right now, which is, it's like if you quantum leaped into a different reality or something like that. It's, I'm sure he's a lovely guy and stuff like that. I'm not trying to insult the guy, but the opinions and the what he expresses are completely different from reality, and it's kind of bizarre. Obviously, it's been a video game and stuff, but he just lives in local. It's brilliant. It's like you just sit down and have a conversation with him if you're station spinning or something.
Moomin is a longtime goon treasure, and I like his voice. A lot of us really like his voice, and he does a lot of INN stuff. But yeah, he's all about the word game. That's kind of his motif or his thing to do.
So he likes that.
Now-
psyop stuff.
Yeah, a lot of goonies do, because it's really funny to see the reactions they get. Like that's what they want. It's the reactions. Most of the time, anyone like starts getting real salty, we screenshot it and post it in threads so we can all laugh at it.
I can definitely say that Pappy does the same thing too. I mean, hell, the whole reason why in the Trash Talk Tuesday green room I was supporting goons is because I was bored and had nothing better to do and was like, I wonder what kind of reactions I'll get here.
Yeah, I probably won't go on this week because I didn't really appreciate getting talked down to for 45 minutes.
Oh. I mean, I'm not supposed to hate on Redline because again, I like the guy, but it is called Trash Talk Tuesday, and yeah, it can definitely get.
It wasn't trash talk. It was like talking down to me like I was an idiot.
Ugh.
There's a difference here, I can take I can take it. I dish it. Everybody knows I dish it, but I can take it. And actually, I was a little annoyed. Like 10, 20 minutes would have been fine. It's just 45 minutes. It's just like, oh my god, can we like talk about something else now? So, but I had And I wonder if I'm sure you guys have never had this before, but I had multiple messages of people saying that they didn't like seeing them try to beat up on me. I had one guy ask me not to go on hostile shows anymore because he didn't like seeing, not because I did a bad job or anything, but he did it specifically said, I don't like seeing them beat up on you.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I wonder if other, like, I'm sure Billy never gets messages like that. I'm sure Bress never gets messages like that. So I'm just kind of wondering if that's unique or if it's just because I'm a chick or what. But that was just an interesting observation from this weekend.
It's something, but I have nothing to say about that.
It's just a thing that I've noticed. So, but we had a nice chat on Thursday on my show, and then I didn't watch Lasers and Lace. What happened on their show?
I have no idea.
It's great.
Someone called Uriel, I don't know who that is, but they were talking about Eve, the lore of Eve. I
think I remember seeing that postered somewhere.
Okay, so Rain in chat says that it was an interview with Uriel talking about
yeah.
lore.
Maybe I'll check it out on the YouTube.
Anyway,
there is some interesting lore in the game.
Oh yeah, there definitely is. Like I think there was one where something Galente death squads, and that's about all I read into it.
I looked up the Sancha background because I didn't know anything about Sancha, and it's very interesting. It's like one guy who puts brain implants inside of everybody so he can control them all.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got like his generals who have like slightly more free will, but pretty much everybody's just a mind slave.
There was actually a dude in Test, no less, that actually he was so into the Sancha lore, and he like defended Sancha and talking about how Sancha's so great, and he will actually forgive you, unlike those rat bastards Concord, who like once you do something that's bad, they'll mark you for death no matter where you go. Whereas Sancha, like he'll only hate you if you kill his guys, and even then you can repent and help him out and make them like you. Like it, he went a little close to the sun, but he was still in the orbit of the sun in terms of memeing about how great Sancha was. And the thing is, like, he did in-depth research and like wrote. It was like listening to a preacher about their religion, but except instead of religion, it was the greatness of Sancha.
They're my favorite ship. See, I'll be happy either way, because even if Tess comes over to Delve and sits in Delve for a while, and we go move over to Esoteria, and we sit in Esoteria, I get to have all these nightmares I want. Sancha rats are the best.
They really are.
Yeah, like, tracking disruption does nothing. Like, they're the best rats in the game, I feel like, to fight, because they don't have newts or webs. They don't damp. They don't jam. Other than Angel with their target painting. Like,
I don't know anything about rats. I'd shoot them. What are Sancha rats? Don't know anything about ratting.
The spiky ones. Like the Phantasm or the Nightmare?
Yeah, I know those ships. It's just like, I don't know anything about ratting.
Oh, well, they're EM therm, so they're very easy to shoot into, and then and to resist against. And then they only tracking disrupt, so which does absolutely nothing if you're using a drone boat. So they're very easy.
Mm-hmm. Whereas with drones, first off, you can't tank them, and you can shoot into their hulls, but like you just cannot tank them, and they do metric fuck tons of damage. Like if you don't have it's weird because I've run in and tried to do sites with ships that they work on Sancha and they work on every other rats, but the minute I set them up against drones, they just die immediately. So you have to speed tank them, and if you speed tank them, you're totally fine and you'll never die. So it's just weird. Also, they don't have loot.
Let me tell you, Blood Raider rat sucks. You want to know why? Because like you'll be just happy-go-lucky in your VNI or Myrmidon or whatever, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're gonna web you now, and then we're gonna newt you too. So if you don't pay attention, you're gonna die. I've lost like 3 Myrmidons just because I got webbed and I couldn't kill the webber fast enough before I lost too much speed and died.
Yeah, there was.
I'm not very good at ratting, but it was still just like, man, this fucking sucks.
So me and my corp were doing an ADM fleet in Delve to try and like make it so that we could defend our iHub and keep that area we had captured, and we were all doing it basically a corp ratting fleet. And someone joked about, oh hey, you know, wouldn't it definitely suck if a Blood Raider Titan just ended up on grid? And we all laughed and we're like, yeah, that would suck. And then like 3 minutes later, hey, there's a Titan on grid. What? And like 3 of our Myrmidons just insta die.
Yeah, did you know the Blood Raiders were broken for the longest time in the game? Funny how that is. The Goons system that they lived in was broken for about 8 years. And it wasn't until like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now, that they fixed it. Because we're the home region, and so we should have Darkblood Titans that could spawn. But they didn't. They could not spawn in Delve. They only ever spawned in Quirius. And they were finally acknowledged, like, okay, yeah, there might be something wrong here, and they finally fixed it. But it was just funny that we went for years without proper true sec in Delve. So Delve has some of the best officers you can get. That is one nice thing.
Maybe that's why Test is taking it. Maybe they
I
want
know,
those fleet
right?
officer mods.
Enjoy that officer hunting.
I mean, hell, I'd do it.
Have you ever like fought Draclera?
I have not.
Oh, little buddy. I've never gotten one myself, but I've helped with shooting some of them. So this officer rat takes a Rorqual's cap from full to 0 in like 2 cycles. They eat like 40,000 gigajoules or something like that with their nukes. They're very easy to kill. If you bring a super on, you can kill it, like, or even just a carrier can kill it, no problem. But it's interesting to see how dangerous they are to like everything else.
Yeah, no, that's a big oof. There was a time where I was in Quirius and we were ratting, and a Titan came, and not a Titan, but a Dread came on grid, and a Dread Rat came on grid, and I came in a Falcon and jammed it, and I thought I was able to jam it. Turns out it just wasn't shooting anyone, or it was constantly missing. Anyway, I had it jammed. I took that knowledge with me and being like, oh wow, you know, you can jam enemy capital rats. So then when I was up in Fade with my corp, a Titan landed on grid, and I said, guys, don't worry, you can jam enemy capital rats and they just won't target anyone. Well, apparently that's super wrong. So we brought an entire fleet in, kill it, I start jamming it, and all of a sudden it starts blowing up our fleet members. And I'm just sitting there thinking, all right then, I guess you can't jam them. So yeah, that was, thankfully I didn't get blamed for it.
Detail. Does this go for 2 hours? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Normally it goes for 1 hour, but I'm just trying to see if we have any
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I don't normally watch. Sometimes I'll fall asleep to stuff.
Spot the show. Let's try to escape Rycker. See that? Just try to run away.
Alright. So yeah. I think that's actually, yeah, no, that seems to be about it. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Dawn, Dex, you guys have any final thoughts?
Well, we didn't go into anything on the dev blog, but that's okay. The stuff's getting put on CC tomorrow.
Oh, that's the new
formations.
I don't know when it goes live.
Well, I still need to look into that. I don't know what is the whole point in it. I don't understand why we need a formation.
None of us know either. Yeah. Other than you can the warp your own formation thing we're all looking at it because you can warp up to 250 kilometers across. So like the FC could be one spot, and I believe you could put like all your tackle in the front if you wanted to, or in the back or the side. You just have to set up the pings or the warping points ahead of time, and then pew.
Yeah, the Marauder changes. I think someone like tested that. They say the column is going to have something like 2,500 DPS. Which is big, man.
I have a golem that I use for missions. And it's already torpedo fit because of the torpedo changes, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, pumping out them. Yeah, I agree. I wanted a paladin, but the character already had Kaldari skills, so I just dove straight into it and was like, "Here you go. This is what we're doing now."
Isn't there a change coming in to where paladins are going to be able to shoot like as fast as small guns?
Yeah, that's what the Marauder changes.
That's disgusting.
And they're changing because it's not going to have enough cap. Normally, they're adjusting the cap, I believe, on it as well.
Oh, God.
To compensate for it. And the Bastion is going from, originally they were pushing it to 90 seconds, which was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because no one wants to sit there for a minute. I don't Bastion when I do my L4 missions because I need to move around. And I don't want to sit there for a minute stuck anywhere, right?
Right.
But now, instead of 60 minutes, they were like, or 60 seconds, they went to 90 seconds. And now they're like, you know what? 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, I'll actually use the Bastion now because 30 seconds isn't so bad. So I'm excited for these changes now.
They said that was it seems a bit of a generous, I don't know, like, I don't know, I'm a bit cynical. I think there's going to be a drawback coming soon because it seems too much of a nice update.
I mean, they're the price of a carrier, so.
They're the price of a really expensive dreadnought.
Yeah.
Like my golem is 4 billion. And I haven't even blinged it out completely yet. And I have 2 other golems in different places in space just waiting to use if needed.
I'm still waiting for Marauder fleets to be a thing in nullsec.
They'll never, not with their self-rep bonus. Now I will say you could use with the 30-second Bastion, you could use a golem or a paladin as like a little dread.
Yeah, that's what I was
just
thinking.
Like Bastion, pop, and then unbastion and then MJD and keep moving because like you just don't want to get scrammed.
Yeah, just like mini dreads, just dropping them on things.
Yeah, it would be. There's ways to deal with it. Now, Chronoses are. I think they're short range, but they're fucking nasty.
Yeah.
And Vargers are gonna be real nasty. I think if you had like a balanced Marauder fleet, you could have the Chronos and the Vargar handle the up close problems, and then the Paladin and the Golems can worry about the mid to further range problems.
Yeah, no.
Looks like you.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fun.
Looks like you guys are getting saucy again. Tell Villy that we're busy.
I have no idea where Billy is or what he said.
Oh, he's probably sitting in a dread in a T50 right now.
Oh. I've not been looking at pings. That shows how much of a good Pappy line
member. Oh, Billy.
Oh, hey.
Hi, Billy.
Hey, Billy.
Billy's in chat and he's actually saying hi. That's a first.
First for everything.
I know, right? First Imperium member on the show. Actually, second, because we had Brisk that one time, but I was dumb and I didn't actually record the show.
Doesn't Twitch just record them automatically?
It does, but it was before I actually had the show on this network, and I didn't actually pull the footage before the 7-day period was up.
Muskie, are you no drunk? Right, mate, how you... Oh, Muskie has joined us.
So,
and listen, I'm not going to pronounce it any other way, by the way, Ninja. It's Golem for me. That's how I want to pronounce it. I don't want to say Golem. I know I could, but I don't want to. Now, because I'm out of spite.
Speaking of Muskie, that actually just reminded me. So on Monday there was, no, not Monday, Wednesday there was a fight where two Goon Drakes attempted to reinforce the M2 TAC iHub. Horde ended up flash forming a Munin fleet under Zero Muskie and killed the Drakes, and then decided to start bashing a Fortizar after, of course, killing a few bubbles. Which, I mean, whenever I want there to be a meme now that's just like, when in M2 always shoot bubbles. Like, someone please make that meme. And
Yes.
yeah, but we bashed the Fortizar. Goons formed up a Jackdaw fleet. Jackdaw fleet warped to the Fortizar and then warped into the Munins and then got chewed up. I don't know why that happened. The FC, I believe the enemy FC was someone by the name of Crash or something.
Muskie.
I know what happened with all that.
Yeah.
There was some missing information he needed for the plan. There was a plan, but the plan was missing a key component of the information, and so the plan did not work.
So just like M2.
Yeah, only the other way.
Yeah. I mean, the key information missing for M2 being the fact that the server might not hold up.
If
they already knew that was always a possibility. It's more of the they went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Muskie, would you be kind enough to share the BR for that Jackdaw fleet? Is that all right? I'm sure I've seen it this morning, but I'm sure it was your fleet.
Yeah, it was. I think I've got a battle report somewhere, but I would have to do stuff. And yeah,
we all know
I'm in the middle of the show.
Muskie he'll be wanting to get that framed, 100% efficient battle report. He'll be getting that framed and printed out and fucking everything.
But anyway, that Fortizar was later reinforced. I honestly have no idea if it was ever like taken into hull or anything, but it was reinforced at least once. Yeah. Oh, and then as Muskie was saying, the Munin fleet warped in to try and attack our Munin fleet, which it kind of feels like, because when the Jackdaw fleet came in, the only reason that I can personally see of them doing that is that their whole goal was to come in, tackle as many Munins as possible, get us to scramble and freak out, and then the Munins come in and pretty much kill those who are essentially behind and not in rep range. But
yeah, I mean, if you look at their kill mails, you would know the answer to that question.
I didn't look at their kill mails. Was that actually correct?
Might be on the nose.
I feel like a true armchair
feel
Sky
tactical?
Marshal. Yeah, dude, I feel tactical as fuck. Yeah, of course, not as tactical as that time where you were like, "Hey, you should just drop dreads at 0, and then we'll kill dreads, and you can get your Titans out."
It's like I was like, it'll work.
Yeah,
I did say drop at 0. I didn't say dreads at 0. I just said drop at 0. So I was more talking about the Titan and Super Fleet, because we dropped our supers at 0 on the X-47 Keepstar as heavy tackle, so they couldn't tether.
Wait, Titans as heavy tackle? Okay.
They use supers as heavy tackle.
Ah, supers.
With heavy warp scrambles, they had like +6 strength or something. So we were all dropped at 0 so we could grab onto a Titan, because the problem was there was a tether bug where even though they had an aggression timer from the DD, it wasn't keeping them from tethering after their DD. So to get around that, we dropped our supers at 0 so that way they could tackle the Titans we wanted to kill, and that prevented them from tethering up, and it took away that tether benefit.
That's
So when I say drop at 0, I mean literally drop at 0. Like, let's fucking do this.
I mean, the first M2 fight was pretty good. Even
Yeah,
dropping
I had
at
a fun
0.
time. I was nervous.
Yeah. No, when we dropped at 0, like I definitely enjoyed that fight. Now, what was interesting is that when I warped in, it was such bad tie-dye that I couldn't actually like go in and be with my Munin fleet, so I just said fuck it and just started shooting Titans along with the dreads. Sadly, the Titans never died in the the Titans that did die, I wasn't able to whore on their kill mail. because it was, yeah, I was
I got-
super sad.
I got on 46 Titans. I was pretty excited. And I realized after the fight that I had the wrong fit on, and that's why, because I had 2 SIBOs with scan res on. So I was locking like crazy compared to everybody else.
Yeah, during the I think the first M2 fight when I jumped in with my dread, I had the long range fit and I had everything correctly, but apparently the Pappy, the test fleet had a different fitting to where they could shoot out further than mine, so I could only like shoot it like, what was it, like 25% of the dreads or of the Titans that were on grid.
You all tried to shoot my fact. It was rude.
I didn't even know your fax was on grid.
Yeah, he was down at the bottom. I ran out of strong, so I was like, well, I'm done, and I just docked up and closed him out.
Yeah.
Faxes were, I mean, I think there was like one Titan that got held by faxes until he could tether. So there was a little bit of use of the faxes, but not really.
I mean, when you're volleying stuff off with DDs, like faxes
Oh my
kind
god,
of
it
become
was so beautiful. Just
faxes
so
kind
much
of
fun.
lose their use.
I know, that's why everyone had fun with that. Like, let's do it again. I don't know why you're waiting. We want to do it again.
I'm gonna bet.
I just think they're scared because they can't SRP all of them, or they still owe some of them. I'm sure PanFam and them would be absolutely happy to go for another Titan fight, mano a mano.
From
But
my
I just
knowledge,
don't think everyone is.
From my knowledge, I believe all the Titans have been SRP'd and that everything's like we're ready. But again, like I have no idea, since I'm not a super pilot. I have no idea why
I
we're
think
not
all
doing
the
it.
PanFam ones are.
Yeah.
But I don't think all of the legacy ones are. I think all the tests have been, like specifically tests, but I don't know. The last number we heard as of yesterday was 20 still hadn't been SRP'd yet. But that could have changed between yesterday and today, so.
Yeah, I again don't know anything about that. I only know what's going on in PanFam.
PanFam land. All right, well, there are things happening, so I do have to skedaddle, and we're over. So, but I had a good time.
And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, take man.
It's good to get an Imperium perspective once in a while, so that we're not totally biased. Isn't that right, Dex?
Totally.
Listen, I have no problem being biased. I say that on my show. We're not a news show. We're just here to have some fun and talk some shit.
Perspective is a strong word there, Rycker, I would say.
Anyway, I think that about wraps everything up. Dex, Dawn actually probably already left.
Oh, I'm still here.
No, but you guys have anything final to say? Like any last thoughts?
My final thought would be check us out on Thursdays for Theta Thursday, because you can always watch Laces and Lace on the VOD, but you can always watch us live.
Okay.
Or opposite, I guess, but whatever you feel like.
Always the same shade, isn't it? I've just had my final thoughts. Dex has a shiny head. That's very good of you. Thank you, Shade.
All right, and don't forget to catch us every 2 weeks. The next show will be in 2 weeks. Join the New Eden Post Discord for updates and to catch all of our other great shows. So yeah, I don't really have an outro. Remember, guys, always bubble your Keepstars, and I will see you next time.